Okay. Hello and welcome to today's webinar. I'm Sudhagar here from SK Kampung Perdama, Klang, Selangor, and I'm the moderator of today's webinar. Our webinar today is all about AI object recognition library. This webinar is brought to you by Malaysian STEM Teachers Association, MASTA, in collaboration with Stemsel Foundation from Adelaide, Australia. Before we start, let me explain on how you can communicate with us during the webinar. If you have any questions during the presentation or during the explanation, you may on the mic and ask the question directly, or you just drop down in the chat box. We will also have a Q&A section at the end of the seminar, end of the presentation, and Prof may answer all of your questions. Now let's begin. We are pleased to welcome our special guest, Prof. Miroslav Kosteksi, who is well known as Prof. Miro, Chief Technical Officer of Stemsel Foundation in focusing on AI social business startups. Pro Vice Chancellor, Technology Transfer of Central University Institute, Cuba of Bamida in Cameroon. He is the inventor of Runlinc code of program. So without further, with a pleasure, let me welcome Prof. Miro. Good day, welcome Prof. We are so glad you could be here today to share about AI object recognition library. Now the floor is yours.
Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to this week's project workshop that we are doing. So I hope everyone enjoyed their storytelling app from last week, and you can use the storytelling app link, which is in the document that's all working. So I hope you have also created lots of links and shared those. And maybe you can share some more as well into the Telegram group and the WhatsApp group, and we can have a look at those. That would be really good. Today we are going to the next workshop, which is the A5 object recognition, and this actually came about by a student of mine. Okay, he was in year 6, and he did the A1 one-line camera recognition, one-line camera code to get the camera from his phone to the laptop. And so I asked him to make a short video of it, and he did a good job, and he sent me video, and then he gave me a surprise. So he actually added to the one-line camera and did something which I didn't expect him to do. So what I will do is I will share that video with you, because it is actually ended up being this week's project. So let me just share the video with you.
My name's Joshua Cartman. Hello, my name's Joshua Cartledge. I'm 12 years old, in year 7 at Mitcham Primary School, and I made the water tank monitor project for the Royal Adelaide Show Technology Competition and won overall first prize. Here is a demo of the Runlinc technology developed by Stemsel Foundation with an IP camera. Now I have a phone with the IP camera app here. but you can buy cheap $10 or so IP cameras available online. And this one line of code that I have here, this iframe here, is going to get the camera input from the phone and then broadcast it onto the Runlinc webpage. If I run the code here, you can see that. You can see my desktop, computer, keyboard, and all of that, just with a single line of code. Very nice. There are several uses for this. Door monitoring systems can cost up to hundreds of dollars to purchase and install, whereas can be done with Runlinc and an IP camera cheaply and efficiently. You can make scouting rovers that can be sent into burning buildings or other places where it is unsafe for humans to go to search for any survivors and rescue them. Now, with just 35 lines of code, we can have AI object recognition in real time with a live video feed. This can be used to identify faces or threats such as animals to farmers, crops, or livestock. Now I have some objects here for the thing to recognize. And so I'm going to run the code and it's going to load the model and the video. And once that's loaded, we can now put, for example, an orange in front of it, and it'll say it's an orange and how confident it is with that in percentage. So right now it's about 50% confident that's an orange. We also have a banana here. I can put the banana in front of it. That's around about 70% confident it's banana. It works with most objects. For example, we've got a computer mouse. There we go.
I don't think I'm used to it.
And that's only 35 lines of code. Pretty amazing. Thanks for watching.
How old is he, Maro?
Sorry, can you say that again?
How old is he?
He is now 13, I think, but I think that he was
11 or 12.
11.
Oh.
Okay, 11. Thanks.
He was in primary school when he did that. We have inventors club every Saturday.
Year 6 he was, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so he then went to Malaysia. I mean, the project went to Malaysia for competition last year, and he won first prize for his project on water level measuring system for farmers. Very complex. He's now 14 years old. So this Josh is one of those examples of how students in Malaysia will be able to also do the same thing.
Okay, you can proceed, my lord.
Okay, yeah, thanks, Peng. That's right. Now the teachers will actually be able to teach the students and how they can do the same thing, because after Josh actually did that, I asked him how he was able to do that, because I hadn't done that before directly on the computer. We had sent some images before to Google, and Google came back and gave a recognition of what the object is. But he was doing it real time on the Runlinc directly on the computer. And he explains that the Tensorflow model, so Google actually has a model which is called Tensorflow for AI object recognition, actually runs on the JavaScript much faster than other platforms, such as Python, for example, is often used for AI, but because the JavaScript can actually access the 3D processor on the computer. So if you look closely at that video, you see that very quickly it comes back for the objects as well. We, since then, have also put that obviously into this document, but we have also done some extensions as well. So since then, the first extension was actually the voice. So we added just 3 lines of code, and we can add text to voice. So the object comes up with text, but the text can be changed to voice. And then, of course, then once we have text, then we can break up the text characters and also do spelling on there as well. So then this becomes very useful then for even for children that want to point their phone to an object, and it can then even say it what it is in English and also do the spelling in English as well. But the object recognition is something that is used widely for all sorts of applications. And one of the applications was also done by a group at a university in Sydney here in Australia. And that group, what they did is they used object recognition also to check and compare people's eye retina to check whether they have diabetes as well, because the TensorFlow model can compare different inputs as well. And there are many, many pictures of those. So they were able to also put together a short video. So let me just show that short video as well about that object recognition. Okay, I'll show the video what they did. This was the video of their project, which they did, and they connected the Runlinc to it as well, so that it could actually show on the Runlinc, even with LEDs, responding to the object recognition, whether someone had the diabetes.
Hello, this is MN692. This is our hardware toolkit provided by our client, Electronics. This is our Stemsel toolkit. Okay. This is battery, Wi-Fi module, Stemsel board, LED lights, cables, and we need a PC as well. And we connect to LED with the Wi-Fi module like this. And we connect our board with the PC, but while connecting for the first time, we have to press the black button on the Stemsel board.
Mute while the
we have to
video
open
is
the
playing.
program provided by the Electronics to confirm our chip to connect it with the PC. So we are sending this program to the chip. Now remove the cable. We have to plug in the Wi-Fi module in the Stemsel board very carefully. And we have to power the Stemsel board either with the battery or with the cable. We have to connect it with the mobile hotspot.
No, I can't mute
And I'm
while
going to
video
access the Runlinc site, which is in the zip to our browsers. For this, we have to put the IP address with combining the Wi-Fi module number. Here our module number is 158. That's why we are putting 192.168.137.158/control.html. So here we get the Runlinc in HTML and JavaScript we developed, and assigning the port for the LED lights. And we are going to copy the image URL, which we are going to test, and put it in our source code. And we are going to run the program, and we are running it. Now we have to click in the image to get the result. So it has detected the color code, and we are waiting. Now the red light is on. As you see, the means is infected.
Okay, so what that showed is that the object recognition could actually show whether it was green or red, even on the hardware. So the IoT could actually detect that as well. Okay.
Can I say a few words here? This project is actually done professionally in hospital. I mean, this technique of using AI for looking at the eyes picture in Flinders University in Adelaide here. The eye specialist doctor actually used AI to compare the different pictures of patients and see whether they have diabetic or not. So this is actually a real life application. So we have George here from Cameroon. He's 13 years old, and so he wants to learn from the teachers.
Okay, hello, George. George could also do this project as well, because if you can open this on the laptop. So we're going to open the document and go through it so that we can get through that, and we can also ask some questions. So let's share and open the document which we have, which is the document A5. Okay, so this is the A5 object recognition. And of course, we need to use the Runlinc Online. So we have the Runlinc Online. Okay. And so we're having some trouble with my share at the moment. So let me try that again. Okay, so we'll open the same Runlinc Online that we had before, and just make sure that your it actually does say in the IP address HTTPS on there. Okay, it needs to be HTTPS runlinc.com. And if you're just take a note that also, of course, we can also have this on the FireFox browser on the Android phone. If you do it on the Android phone, then this will actually allow you to select the front or the rear camera. Otherwise, other browsers such as Chrome, Safari, etc., will only have the front camera. So sometimes if you're pointing the camera and you want to point it at the object, it's obviously useful to use the phone camera to do that. And the Firefox will actually allow the rear camera. You can make that selection. Okay, so how do we implement that object recognition? Well, we have a couple of examples. I've shown some examples. You can also have a look at the object recognition examples here. This one here is the one also with the spelling. So you can take a look at that link, which is in the document. And so the applications for the AI object recognition, of course, we can use it for security, for facial recognition, and it can also be used for many other object recognition. For example, there's another project that our university students did to check whether there's actually the haze over the city and how bad the pollution level is, to actually get a reading of the pollution level just by the pictures over the city using the object recognition model as well. This was done by Carnegie Mellon University here in Adelaide. Okay, so the model that we're using, like we said before, we're using a couple of libraries. The first one is the Mobile Nets library. So this actually library has already some models built in, which has classification in it already. And as it says here, it trades off between latency and size and accuracy. What that means is that you can get the speed faster, but it might not be as accurate. So other models can also be formed using the Tensorflow. So TensorFlow doesn't require you to know about machine learning, but you can simply input things like images, videos, and even elements from Canvas or the web page, so that it can actually recognize those, and it will return an array, which is a prediction level to say that how close it looks to something which is in the model. Okay, so so that means that there will be a number between 0 and 1. For example, 0.3 means 30%, or 0.7 means 70% confidence level that this is a certain object which matches in the model. Okay, so let's take a look at the code. We're going to add some CSS just so that we can also create some buttons on there as well. So, and we can lay that out. So we're going to change the background color. This is the body of the HTML. We're going to have a start button on there. The reason we have a start button is because on the iPhone, if we use this on an iPhone, then an iPhone will not actually activate the text to voice unless it has a start button. So we include a start button so that it works on all of the platforms. Here we also have a H1, and the H1 actually means that when we do the H1, it has a font which will be 40 pixels, and it will use this font to make it look better when we do the heading on there as well. Okay, so let's add that in. We'll add in those things into the CSS box, so we can copy that, and we'll share the Runlinc. Okay, it needs to go up here into the CSS section, and I'll just remind you that you can actually pull that down bigger as well. There seems to be one curly bracket missing there at the end. I'm sure it would work, but there should be a curly bracket there at the end to match that H1 just here code. Okay, so then going back to the project, sorry, let me activate that share. Okay. All right, actually, there is some on the next page as well, just so that we can put that. Okay, so just so that we can have some better fonts, we're also going to add this part here. P basically means that's the normal font size, but we're going to just change the font so that it looks better on the Arial font as well. So this is what the CSS actually does. It helps us to do the colors, the fonts, and center the graphics of our HTML display. Okay. Good. So now let's go into the HTML. So the HTML, what it will do is we're going to have the start button at the top, which is this part here. And the reason that we have this shortcut listen is again for the iPhone so that it can listen to the start button. We have the style of the button here. So this makes the button actually look round and big. and we have a start ID so that when we press the button, then it will also change the text. There's a subroutine which will change the text on the button. Okay, so that part there is the start button. We then have a header here, and what this does is it actually loads in, well, first of all, it puts in a title, the webcam object classification, and then we have 3 scripts which we actually load in to the JavaScript. So these are the libraries which come from the internet. So they come from a website called Cloudflare, and they then are able to load in the libraries for the Tensorflow that we described before. And then we have the body, which is basically just the heading, the webcam object classification. And under that, then it will also put the actual camera on there as well, which is linked to the libraries there. Okay, so let's put in that section into the HTML. So we can copy that and that goes into the HTML section here. Okay, and if you want to, you can also divide that out just so that you can see the 3 sections of your HTML. Okay, now comes for the JavaScript code section there as well. So if we go to the JavaScript code, sorry, did I share that section just now? Let me show you. Okay, so this is the HTML section. We paste it in. You might want to put in some breaks in there so we can see it correctly. Okay, then we have some JavaScript, and be careful with the JavaScript, because it is probably more code than we've done before. So it goes across a few sections here as well. Okay. So there's the change text button. The change text button here, which basically was when we press the start code. And then what we have here is the speech synthesis. So when we press the button, then it has the initial message and is able then to speak that initial message. So we haven't seen this before, but JavaScript is able to do text-to-speech, and we will be using that for our own messages next week as well, and also creating our own buttons. So we look forward to that. But this week we're introducing the speech synthesis with a message, and that initial message is also this one here. So the initial message is this one, just initializing setup. So if we wanted to change, then we could change that text. Okay, so let's copy that section first carefully, and we'll put that into the JavaScript. And then this is the start of the classifier section here. So let's get that and have a look at what that is. Okay, so what we have here is we have a capture video, and this function here, which is in the library, the ML5 library, actually takes that video, which we've captured, and puts it into the model so that we then return a value back from the classifier. So we've turned a difficult object recognition problem into a simple function that we can then use basically as well. Okay, then the section here tells the model that the classifier model is actually ready and that it actually has the result. So when it has the result, then it can do this function. So it can take the result, and then it can apply the result. So the result that we get back is basically this label here. Okay, so what we get out of the library, the result is in this variable. When we then put that into the speech synthesis, then it will actually speak that as well. Okay, and in the HTML, we want to actually display the confidence level. Okay, so this part here, the results actually gets displayed as a number. And when the number is actually greater than 0.35 in this case, and of course we can adjust this value, and you might want to try it as well, of course. When it's greater than 0.35, then it does the speech synthesis. So the reason that we did this is because often we have lots of images, and of course the model cannot always recognize the correct image. It might say it looks a bit like this, it looks a bit like that, and that could be a small confidence level, because if it looks a bit, that means that it's a low number. So if it's less than 0.35, then we don't actually do the speech, but we've put in here a limit value of 0.35 and said, okay, this is fairly confident. So let the model actually speak the label message. So it would actually turn that word, the text result, into a message, which then can be put into the speech synthesis as well. Okay. All right, and we have set a value for the video here as 5 seconds. The reason that we've given a timeout value of 5 seconds is because we've given the classifier at least 5 seconds to be able to classify the image. Otherwise, if we don't give it enough time, then it will become a very low confidence level. So we can set this higher. It would actually mean that it would probably become more accurate, but of course it would take longer if we set it to longer than the 5 seconds. So these are the variables that can be changed, but let's add this into the function that we have. Okay, so you can copy this in now. Just do that carefully. Okay. So again, when you copy and paste, it tends to actually put everything up together, and you might want to just spread it over just under the brackets, just so that it is easier to follow what is actually happening as well, just like that. Just so that we have the sections that we just described. Okay, so even though altogether it might be quite a bit of code, to understand it, then just take a look at the just the sections.
Maknanya bukan buka dekat budak kelas.
Small sections, and understand what each section actually does.
Yang mana kelas dia? Oh, cikgu pilih budak. Ya, cikgu pilih poster tu yang mana nak wakilkan kelas dia. Okey. Okay, jelas tak? Jelas tak?
Okay, if you can please just mute yourself if you're not actually on the webinar, that would be better.
Pameran. Okay, Kak. Okay, yang ni Kak Zah tak terang sebab Kak Zah terang dah dekat Dina kan? Okay, baik, ini dua orang je sebab kita tak ada.
Seorang cikgu tu tolong mute-kan Cikgu Zara.
Okay, so let's take a look then at the results of that. So we'll just go back, and if we run that model, then you can see that it actually asks for permission to use the camera. Okay, so it needs to be able to use the camera. And you'll see the same thing on your phone. It will actually ask for permission for the camera on your phone. When you see the permission on the Firefox on the Android, you can also then select which video will actually be used. So at the moment, because I'm using the Zoom, then my loading the model and video and actually even the object recognition will actually be delayed because it's also processing some other things as well. Okay, so if we press the start,
initializing setup,
you can say initializing setup, and then loading the video and the model. And I would suggest that probably it won't work for me. Okay, so the reason for that is because my video camera is being used for the Zoom. Okay, basically, so it's cut off from the model. So even though it can actually select the video camera, you can't actually use it because it's being used for Zoom at the moment. Okay, let me see if it works if I stop the video. Let me try that again. Okay, I'll just rerun the code, allow the camera. Start. I'm not sure if the Zoom actually still holds onto the video signal or not under this situation. So let's just check. Okay, all right, the Zoom allows other things to use it. That's good. Okay, that's good. So we can
initializing
setup, and you can see straight away that my face looks like a mask to this model. All right, so you can see the mask there straight away. One of the things is as well that in the JavaScript, once it actually says the word, it will not keep repeating the word. So once it recognizes something, so possibly it might recognize, for example, my phone. Okay, let's see if it recognizes my phone. Okay, all right.
Lighter, light, igniter, cellular telephone, cellular phone, cell phone,
Okay.
cell,
So if I put that up again, okay,
Mask.
and it says phone again, then it won't say it's the second time unless it's a different thing. Okay, so you can have fun trying various objects on there. It usually recognizes the phones, the mice, a cup, the simple objects actually quite easily, and more easily than the other things. Now I can't access my video until I stop the model. So let me do that. Okay, got my video back. All right. So be careful of that. If you're on the Zoom and you're trying it, then you might need to do what I just did and turn off and use it actually on the laptop. Like I said, though, you can actually load that also onto your phone, and it is more useful because you can point it onto the objects as well. And we do have some short video examples of that, of what some students have done before as well. So I can post those links onto this Zoom, and then we can post those. I'll post Josh, and I'll post that iRetina, and also Josh also did an example using his phone as well. So I'll post those out onto the Zoom. Okay. As I'm doing that, maybe some people might have some questions or some comments at this stage.
Good morning, sir. My question is that can your system recognize, for example, how can I say? Can you recognize different things like a screwdriver, a car, and fruit?
Yes, the common objects have been put into this model, but of course this model doesn't contain all objects, so some things it won't recognize as well. It contains a lot of common objects, basically, this library. So the library was made and used for other people to try as a TensorFlow library for others to use as a common library. So yeah, please try those things. We have tried screwdriver and pen and other things like that as well.
Myro, actually, how this Runlinc recognize an object? How it recognize object? Which part in HTML? Is it in HTML or what?
Okay, so the object is actually recognizes using the code, and the code is then from the library. So what the code in the library does is it takes the camera, okay, which we went through before. It takes the camera, and then that's why it takes quite a while to load the library into the memory, because then the memory on your device, either your phone or on your laptop, then contains the TensorFlow model, and then the code can very quickly, using the TensorFlow, can compare what is the object compared to all of the objects which are already stored in the model. And because it's on the local machine and you can use a 3D processor, then it can be quite fast. And it's quite surprising, actually. The phone can actually be quite fast. And we have found that it depends also on the camera, and obviously it depends on things like the background. So, for example, the short video I'll show you of Josh, he actually does it on his couch, and I think he actually put a grey towel at the back, because if you just have the objects and then you have a blank surface at the back, then obviously the model can recognize the objects much easier than if you have lots of other things in the background. Okay, so all of those factors will determine how easy it is to recognize the things.
So the script of the object recognition is based on the library.
Yes, the code for the actual object recognition in the TensorFlow is actually in the library, and that library is actually also public, so you can take a look at the library. The library is the ML5, so in our document ML5, and you can actually take a look at that, and that is public as well, so you can take a look. And in fact, you can obviously build your own models and then also import your own models as well. And that is how the iRetina students did that as well. They create their own TensorFlow models and then they can import them into the Runlinc. And then the Runlinc also doesn't need to have a lot of code in it as well. It just uses the model and loads it into the memory for the machines to process.
Myro, can we create our own library? Let's say I want to use my student's fingerprint as a recognition.
You can create your own libraries, definitely, with TensorFlow, and then you can use the same method to load in the libraries into the Runlinc. And then the Runlinc, just like I showed you at the video before, can also connect not just the text to the voice, but also can connect also using the same method in the JavaScript, go out and then activate LEDs, or it can activate alarms, or it can activate, for example, even an alert or an email. In fact, just recently, our students have been using the object recognition to recognize a fire or smoke on a camera on a drone. So, for example, it doesn't have to be the camera on your device, it can be other devices. So if the drone camera actually then sees some smoke, then it can send an alert immediately, even on an email, to say where the drone is, and then to say that there's this smoke, take a picture, send an email, so it can activate other things on the IoT as a bigger project as well. And other students also at our Royal Show have used it to do things like sort out rubbish. Okay, so they use a robotic hand to actually put the rubbish in the right section as well, which is important because if we want to recycle, then we want to be able to recognize the rubbish as well. So many uses. Any other questions at this stage?
Besides you using the same method for object recognition, is there any type of recognition category? I mean, maybe they can detect either by plastic, metal, papers. Is it possible?
Yes. The TensorFlow can be trained to have different pictures. Obviously, you load lots of pictures or videos, and then it can compare the pictures and videos. The more you have, the more accurate the model. Okay. So you have lots of pictures of metal, you have lots of pictures of papers and things like that. Then it can actually see what is the closest that it can recognize.
I mean, it also can recognize a shape of humans, right?
Yes. Yes, of course, yeah. Not only the shape of the human, it can recognize the shape of the eyes, it can recognize the face. So the same type of technique is used to recognize faces as well.
Face detection, yeah.
So the facial recognition actually works on this model as well.
Okay.
But Jegu, Suhaili, you have to be careful how you apply it though.
Why?
Because some countries, at least 50 countries now, use AI object recognition to give the citizens social credit. In other words, the machine will decide if your social credit between 0 and 100% is less than 50%, let's say, you will not be able to fly from KL to Singapore.
Really?
So that's how machine decides now whether you can even take a bus to Penang. And it will have a lot more data than just your face. It will gather all your DNA, where you live, who you teach, whether you are a good teacher or not. And it will then give you a social credit. Even if the airline have tickets, you have money in your credit card, it wouldn't sell you the ticket. Already, this is a few years ago. This is real in some countries now. So AI is so powerful, it used to control people, manage people. Of course, the good thing is what Miro has explained. But socially, depends on how you use the technology to manage people. Some countries, you know, government, they want to manage people to the point where they maintain full control. You see, sorry, we have a question from young George here. He's very creative. He likes to ask a lot of questions. George is only 13 years old, but he completed, supposed to be from 1, but he completed from 3. He's going to from 4 now. So he's a very fast learner. Yeah, George, please.
Professor Miro, can this
Internet not so good. From Cameroon. He's from Cameroon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He got stuck there. I suppose one useful information about Cameroon is maybe everybody knows already, the oil palm, is it? The plant, the oil palm. The first seedling in Malaysia actually comes from Cameroon. I understand from the history of relationship between Malaysia and Cameroon is from oil palm.
Sure, but it is not an original plant in Malaysia.
Imported long time ago. Imported into. But look at how many people it employ as a result. One plant from Cameroon. So this is where George come from. So George is actually borrowing his laptop at the university, Polytechnic University, from a lecturer there. And he's well liked by professors because of his interest in technology, you know. So George has attended many webinars outdoor in Malaysia. We only know George for 2 weeks. And then this woman in technology in Cameroon, keynote speaker was Google manager of America. So this exposure to the young students is going to create a lot of international relationship. So we hope that you'll be able to introduce George many other young students like him in Malaysia. For those teachers listening in, if you have young students who are very, very keen in technology, we are forming a group in outdoor. ARTDO is, I think you guys know, Asia Regional Training, ART, Asia Regional Training. Yeah, DO is Development Organization. It's about 47 years old, 40 countries now. They just entered into America. And so we are helping them to form a technology committee. And then forming also a young students group within the outdoor community so that these students can share their experiences on STEM, IoT, and AI.
Maybe Joshua can be our teacher after this.
We are hoping that he's going to help to inspire a lot of young students. I think he just dropped out because internet is a problem there. They have blackout also, lots of blackout because of unstable electricity there. And also that country has a lot of civil upheaval at the moment. And so very lucky to be able to help him to at least reach out to outside. very restricted in
So
camera.
someone just posted a question as to the number. So they said that on the video there's the word orange and then there's the number. What is that number? Okay, so that number is actually a number between 0 and 1 as to what is the confidence level of the model. Okay, so the TensorFlow models actually produce also a confidence level as to how confident the model is that it is like something that has been already put into the model, such as an orange. So if the model comes back with a number which is 0.3, it says it's 30% confident it's an orange. If it comes back with 80%, it says it's 80% confident, and that would be 0.8, okay, that it is an orange. So if we then in the JavaScript actually check that number and it's above 0.35, then it will actually activate the voice. All right. So if you use this object recognition and it comes up with a word and it's 0.2, 0.3, it will not actually say it until it's over 0.35. But you can change that number in your code. You can try that as well. Okay, good question.
If Myro, if you want to adjust the object recognition in the, do we have to change it in all the programming or just inside the HTML box?
If you want to change, what do you want to change?
The object.
Change the object.
Yeah. From
Okay.
the library. From the library.
The object library. Okay, you would have to then go into the
Guys, so the cloudflare.com.
That's right. You'll change the script source in the HTML. There's actually a script source there in the HTML, yeah, which you would simply change that, and then it would load that library in there.
Oh, just copy from the Cloudflare and put it there.
That's right. Yeah. So there's when you actually produce then the library in the Cloudflare, then you can simply just load it in from that.
Okay.
Okay, and you can use the same technique also on Runlinc to load other libraries, even for other applications as well. Okay, so this one here is for the TensorFlow object recognition, but obviously we can also include other libraries that we can use and the functions in those libraries as well on the Runlinc. Okay.
Can we recognize an object for the shape? I mean, just to teach our kindergarten students, this is a round shape, this is a square shape.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yes, of course. Yeah, definitely you can do that as well. Yeah, and in the Cloudflare, I think they have various libraries there as well. And I think some of them might be, I think, also including colors and shapes in there as well. So you can take a look at those various libraries.
Okay.
Yeah. The one that we have loaded is a general one. So, you know, you can recognize, for example, animals. And so one of the big applications was also in Bhutan, where they have animals go onto the crops there as well. And because of their religion, they don't want to shoot the animals or damage the animals. They just want to scare them away. Okay, they don't want to kill the animals at all. So basically, they need to recognize what they are so that they can scare them the right way. So, for example, if it's elephant, then you actually do make a mouse noise, because I thought it was just a joke, but it's true. Elephants are actually scared of mice, that they'll run up their nose.
Yeah.
So that actually scares them. But if you have a wild boar, a wild pig, then you have a tiger, a big tiger roar, and then they'll run on that as well. So if they can recognize the animals, and they can scare them away effectively.
So a lot of wildlife in Bhutan is a big problem. they attack the farms, they attack people also. And so, because they are near to Himalayas, right? And so very wild there. And so one of the biggest problem is to develop a system to scare off this wild animal, because they attack the crops. You know, they destroy a lot of crops.
What other type of recognition that the Runlinc can do beside maybe the shape, the color, maybe the voice recognition? I don't know, maybe the frequency of something, sound.
Yes, the voice recognition. Also, we are going to do a project A7 for the voice recognition, so that one is just not just to recognize the voice, but to change the voice into text. And obviously, if we can change it to text, then we can also use it inside our code to do other things and activate other things.
You know, I saw the movie from Korea. There is a house. To open the door, they need to put their fingerprint at the area, and maybe and also include with the sound to open the door.
Some also can look at your eyes.
Yes.
Yeah.
From the eyes, because it's very unique. From your fingerprint and the eyes, only you can enter, right? Because nobody has the same fingerprint. And so it's very secure that way. And so from the changing text to voice can help, I suppose, people who have visual impair, vision impair, cannot see properly. So the object recognition will scan the words and then turn it into sound, into voice, so that the half blind or whatever people can understand what are the texts. So the application is limitless. It's a matter of refining the what do you call the project in order to recognize different things.
And obviously things like driverless cars, which have lots of cameras, need to use object recognition all the time. They need to recognize the traffic lights, and they need to recognize the colors, where they are, the people, where they're moving. And I even heard that they often recognize whether the car which is near them actually has children or babies on board, because the AI in the car will actually treat those as being a higher value than other cars in case of accidents. So it's very interesting how they program all of those cameras as well.
Yeah, maybe we can check from the library to test that.
Does anyone else have any questions on that? You should actually, obviously, everyone should try it. And I've posted a video link of Josh's phone object recognition with spelling as well.
Yeah. And I think it would be useful for teachers who are attending this workshop today, if you can go a step further by inviting some of these your students, subject to obviously availability of Miro, to do maybe even the drone demonstration again, and so that you can keep the fire going, keep the interest going. And then some of these kids you can identify maybe as George, like just now, and then they can form the network. And on the 28th of August, Miro, you want to explain a bit more about this KLESF? Is that a webinar?
Okay, that's actually, it's the 28th of August, the KLSEF. Okay, so Saturday, the 28th of August. We have a special webinar with them where we're showing the Runlinc and the drone and the STEM there as well. So we would like teachers and the students to also be involved in that as well. And it would be really good, because we are talking about STEM, that maybe we can do a little bit of a showcase, that some of you that have done some of the projects on here can also show what you have done as well. And even better if you can show what your students have done. Like we have in the past had teachers which have shown it to students, and then the students have been able to then activate many other students as well, such as obviously Pavana in the past, who has done these workshops. So I would like maybe some of those students to show their things, and we'll be inviting people also like George as well, who's done these things as well, to say a few words. So that would be good to prepare for that.
And I'm sure this Bhutanese who wrote the paper about Runlinc will be we'll invite him to also say a few words. So these are all educators from different levels, and the more we interact, I think the better support you get. KLESF, everybody is familiar. I think it's Kuala Lumpur Engineering Science Fair. Yeah,
it's a yearly event.
Yeah, they've been around for a long time, isn't it? So this is like an engineering society, a group of engineers or whatever. And so I think this is the first time we engage them. Hopefully that they can give PGSM some support. You know,
yes, we know them. We know them. They are our partners.
What do they give to you as a partner?
Normally they give us a booth to showcase.
Okay. So I
before,
think
before the pandemic.
Sure. But on Zoom also they can give something, right? I'm sure they have a lot of things. These are engineers of all discipline, civil, mechanical, electrical, biotechnology, and so all these businesses, many of them, so they can afford, if you identify an event or some help for maybe some schools or something, they could help to promote it or give support. Just like the example of, she's not here, this Ng Yi Jun from Convent Butterworth, right? I think most teachers here heard the story already, that the PIBG fundraised about 30,000 ringgit to give to about 90 students' families who are affected by the COVID-19 financially. So they buy food. It's a food basket thing. So things like that, KLESF could also help. Yeah.
Dr. Kepeng, maybe you can ask KLESF to give us maybe 100 Runlinc kit, and then
why not? It's worth a try. But for me to be successful, I think I need a fair bit of support from PGSM. What do you call? Yeah, PGSM case studies. At least we can show some case studies that are outstanding. Whether it's your idea of forming maybe a PGSM ASEAN, PGSM Federation, you know, I don't know whether there are PGSM in Brunei, in different countries. Sorry?
I'm not sure about that, but in Malaysia, we are, I think we are the only one in Malaysia.
Maybe Indonesia have. And I posted two videos there just now because speak common language, and they are very, very active in now STEM in Indonesia, massively. And one group have 10,000 members in the AI. And they aim at AI now, because AI will need STEM and IoT. So they aim at the ultimate. And so if they have already similar type of PGSM, then you got two already. And I'm sure there's always teachers association, but within that, they can form a subgroup of STEM specialist teachers, so that we can even link it back to Australia. You know, we have a lot of interest in STEM. It's a matter of identifying teachers, professors who are interested to support this. So I think it can be done. I'm sure they are keen. They're just looking for ideas. What is your request to them? You know, to support, to buy 100 kits or whatever for competition, for some selected schools. And from there, you can keep increasing it. And together with KLESF, maybe approach Microsoft Malaysia and showing them that we want to make every house a smart home, so that these students using the Windows or the operating system will be able to use it for good things rather than playing video games. Remember, we started at the beginning of this the AI drug addiction, ADA, and then we use AI STEM addiction, ASA. So even in Cameroon now, they don't understand what it means by ADA, ASA, SUDA, but they're already practicing it. Like George, he know what is AI drug addiction. He doesn't know the meaning that it means have, right? ADA. And then ASA is hope. I understand AI STEM addiction. And he just needs ADA, ASA, and making every house a smart home. I think if we start focusing on things like that and present it to KLESF, I have very high confidence that they will support. For them, they give you 1, they get 100 back because of the power of this awareness. Sorry, George, you got a question.
This always the meaning of ASA.
Asa in Bahasa, Cikgu, what is the meaning of Asa? In Malay language.
Ada sudah.
Asa is that hope, One of the meaning is called hope, isn't it?
Mm.
So, George, I think it's hope. You can Google it. In the Wikipedia, you see Asa, one of the meaning is hope. So, Ada means have.
Don't give up.
Yeah, don't give up. Hope, Asa. So, Ada Asa means have hope. So, all your houses in Cameroon will be called Ada Asa.
Yeah.
Yeah, in Malaysia, they call it Ada Asa Sudah, with the word Sudah at the back.
Dr. Peng, I wanted to show you one of the professors in the University of Polytechnic.
Okay. So hello. Nice to meet you. We are amongst a lot of teachers here in Malaysia in the Zoom webinar workshop on this STEM project, Internet of Things.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
Nice to meet you. First time we meet. And you are from Polytechnic.
Yes.
In Yaoundé, in the capital.
Yaoundé.
Yeah. So we would like to get this collaboration going with your Polytechnic. And George is a very fine student, 13-year-old boy, and I'm sure you love him to bits. I'm sure you love him to bits. And so George could be our ambassador now for the STEM Teacher Association in Malaysia. So George will become a poster boy of the world.
Surely.
Yeah.
After this, I will send my credentials to you so that you can include me on the meetings.
Yes, lovely. Thank you so much. Send me your give George or George will give you my WhatsApp. We can correspond from there for sure.
Okay, all right. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Nice to meet you.
Wow.
Thank
you. So over there, George has opened many doors. So he can open door on behalf of PGSM. I am sure KLESF or IEM, Institution of Engineer Malaysia, would love to have, together with PGSM teachers, to listen to your story. How we create network with students from Cameroon. And he has obviously presented it to Google USA manager, who is actually attended. She was the keynote of this Women in Technology conference just last Saturday, a week ago. So as I said, we only know George 2 weeks ago. So teachers who has students like George or any students at all, let's connect them together. So we are
Okay.
very
Thank
lucky
you. Thank you,
to
Dr. Peng and Dr. Myro. Cikgu Sutagar, you want to say anything before we wrap up for today's session?
Is there any more questions from the audience or anyone? If there is no question, I think we should thank Prof. Myro for the lovely presentation and his precious time that he spent with us. And it was indeed a pleasure to have you with us today.
Thank you so
I
much.
think with that we can conclude the webinar for today. For your kind information, we have the next session on the 30th August with the information voice button. Okay, for the next Friday's topic. Okay, thank you all for attending. I think we really hope you have learned and enjoyed this presentation. Thank you very much, Prof. and Mr. Peng.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, George.
Yeah, so George will become a friend of Malaysia now. Teachers Association and the professor there too. Yeah, thank you. So good.
Okay.
Amazing.
We'll see you
Nice
next
to meet you
week,
all.
and then next week we're going to have buttons where you can create your own voice. So you'll be able to create your own web pages with your voice.
Yeah.
Right.
So maybe we can have a quick what do you call? Can we take a quick picture?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take a group picture together.
Yeah, it would be nice if we can have a picture with what do you call?
All. Okay. All.
Yeah, a gallery, so that you can keep as a record for all your other teachers